The acquisition of truth in the modern dating marketplace is the single most difficult challenge a high-value man will face, primarily because the incentives for transparency are completely misaligned with the biological imperatives of survival and selection. To understand why a woman lies about her body count, you must first strip away modern social conditioning and look at the raw evolutionary data. For a man, the biological imperative is paternity certainty. He needs to know that his resources are not being siphoned off to raise another man's genetic offspring. And statistically, high promiscuity correlates with higher rates of infidelity and pair bonding failure. For a woman, however, the imperative is hypergamy, securing the best possible genetic material and the highest level of security and provision. If her past behavior threatens her ability to secure that provision, her survival instinct dictates that she must conceal, alter, or manipulate the truth of her history. This is not malice. It is a biological defense mechanism designed to bypass your vetting filters. Therefore, when you approach the topic of body count, you are not entering a casual conversation. You are entering a negotiation where one party is incentivized to defraud the other regarding the value of the asset. To navigate this, you need to master the observation of behavioral anomalies, linguistic gymnastics, and incongruent lifestyles. The first and most common indicator of deception is the rule of three, combined with the redefinition strategy. When you ask a woman for her number, and she provides a low, socially palatable figure, typically between 3 and 5, you must immediately cross-reference this data point with her environment, age, and exposure to the sexual marketplace. If she is in her late 20s, has spent years in a university setting, participates in the nightlife economy of major cities, and uses dating apps, a single-digit number is a statistical anomaly. It is highly probable she is lying, but the sophistication of this lie lies in how she justifies it to herself. She is likely using the relationship qualifier. In her mind, she is not counting the one-night stands, the friends with benefits, the vacation flings, or the guys she dated for only a month. She is strictly counting the men she had an emotional attachment to or labeled as a boyfriend. This allows her to pass a polygraph test in her own mind because she has redefined the word partner to exclude casual sexual encounters. You must probe deeper than the number. You must ask for the definition. If her definition of a body count is tied to love rather than sexual contact, the number she gave you is worthless, and the reality is likely 3 to 4 times higher. This leads us directly into the second major sign, which is the deployment of weaponized indignation and reverse shaming. This is a behavioral flare designed to blind your radar. When you ask a woman a calm, logical question about her past, you are asking for data. If the data is favorable, meaning her count is low, she has no reason to hide it. In fact, a woman who has protected her virtue views her low body count as a high-value asset, much like a man views his wealth or status. She would offer the information freely because she knows it secures her position as a desirable long-term partner. However, if the number is high, she perceives the question as an attack on her character. To defend herself, she feigns outrage. You will see a sudden shift in emotional temperature. She will say things like, "I can't believe you are so insecure. Why does it matter?" Or, "You are judging me for my past." Note that she is not answering the question, she is attacking the questioner. This is a classic manipulation tactic known as DARVO, deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. By framing your curiosity as insecurity or misogyny, she attempts to shame you into silence. If she can make you feel guilty for asking, she successfully protects the secret. A high emotional reaction to a neutral question is an admission of guilt. If you are finding value in this deep psychological breakdown, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. We are dissecting the realities that polite society refuses to discuss, and you do not want to miss the next analysis. Moving deeper into the timeline analysis, you must look for the narrative gaps, or what we call the dissociated phase. Most women who are hiding a high body count will compartmentalize their lives into distinct eras to avoid taking responsibility for the actions in those eras. You will often hear a woman describe a specific period, usually college, a study abroad program, or the year following a major breakup, as a time when she was finding herself or just having fun. Pay close attention to the lack of detail regarding this specific era. She might talk about the travel, the parties, the drinking, and the friends, but the romantic history during this window becomes suddenly vague. This is the wild phase phenomenon. Psychologically, she separates her current identity from that past identity. She tells herself, "That was party girl Jessica, but I am now mature Jessica." Because she has dissociated from that version of herself, she feels entitled to erase the sexual history of that version. If there is a gap of 2 or 3 years in her history where she was single, attractive, and in a high-stimulus environment, but she claims 0 partners during that time, you are looking at a fabrication. Nature abhors a vacuum, and the sexual marketplace does not leave attractive women alone for years at a time without engagement. We must then expand our scope from the individual to the collective, because women are socially driven creatures who seek consensus and validation from their peer groups. This brings us to the birds of a feather correlation. It is sociologically impossible for a woman to maintain deep, long-standing friendships with people whose fundamental values are diametrically opposed to her own. If she claims to be a conservative, low-body count woman who values traditional relationships, but her 3 best friends are promiscuous, constantly on dating apps, engaging in casual sex, and cheating on their partners, she is lying about her own nature. Women share details. They bond over shared experiences. If her friends are engaging in high body count behavior, she is either participating in it, facilitating it, or at the very least, condoning it. A woman who truly values sexual exclusivity will find the behavior of promiscuous women repulsive or draining, and she will naturally distance herself. If she is comfortably embedded in a social circle of party girls, she is a party girl who is currently in hiding. Observe the behavior of her friends, and you will see the ghost of her past actions. The 5th sign is found in her digital footprint, specifically in the economics of the thirst trap. We live in an attention economy. A woman's Instagram or TikTok profile is her storefront. You must analyze what she is selling. If she is presenting herself to you as a woman ready for a serious, monogamous commitment, but her online presence is curated to solicit sexual desire from strangers, there is a fundamental incongruence. High-value women do not need the dopamine hit of 500 strangers liking a bikini photo because they derive their self-worth from internal competence and real-world relationships. A woman who posts thirst traps is signaling sexual availability. She is keeping her market value active. More importantly, look at the comments section. If there are men leaving familiar, suggestive, or flirty comments, and she is not deleting them or blocking the users, she is keeping orbiters. These are often past sexual partners she keeps in reserve as a backup plan. This need for external validation is a massive red flag for impulsivity, and impulsivity is the primary driver of a high body count. If she is advertising like a professional, do not believe she is an amateur. Another sophisticated layer of deception is the born-again narrative, or the epiphany phase. This usually occurs when a woman approaches the age of 30 and realizes her sexual market value is beginning to decline while her need for security is increasing. Suddenly, she adopts a persona of intense morality, spirituality, or traditionalism. She may claim she is waiting for marriage now, or that she has reevaluated her worth. While redemption is possible, in the context of dating strategy, this is often a bait and switch. She is using her current celibacy to whitewash a decade of promiscuity. She wants you to judge her based on her behavior in the last 6 months, ignoring the behavior of the last 10 years. This is deceptive because it hides the pair bonding damage she has likely sustained. A woman who has genuinely lived a low-exposure life acts naturally regarding sex. She is neither hypersexual nor aggressively antisexual. A woman hiding a past often swings to the extreme of acting like a nun to overcompensate. If the timeline of her new values coincides exactly with her desire to settle down, it is a strategic pivot, not a genuine character trait. The 7th sign is linguistic, the use of strategic vagueness. Truth is specific, lies are general. When you ask a person about a genuine memory, they can recall sensory details, dates, times, feelings, locations. When a person is fabricating or hiding parts of a story, they use blur filters. If you ask about her past relationships and the answers are always, "It was complicated, we drifted apart," or "I don't really remember much," she is hiding the nature of the interaction. High body counts are rarely accumulated through long-term relationships. They are accumulated through situationships, one-night stands, and failed talking phases. She cannot describe these as relationships because they weren't, but she cannot admit they were just sex because that raises her number. So she uses vagueness. "We just hung out for a while" is code for, "We were sleeping together, but he didn't commit to me." If she refuses to give you the details of the breakup, it is often because the details would reveal she was the one being used, which damages the image of high status she is trying to project to you. Finally, and perhaps the most undeniable sign, is the sexual skills mismatch, or the technician's proficiency. There is a biological reality to sexual experience that cannot be faked. A woman with a low body count may be enthusiastic and passionate, but she will lack the specific muscle memory and desensitization that comes with high partner variance. If she claims to be inexperienced, but demonstrates advanced knowledge of angles, rhythm, and specific acts that usually require overcoming a gag reflex or psychological hesitation, her body is telling on her. Sexual skill is learned through repetition and feedback from different partners. If she moves with the confidence and precision of an adult film star, performs acts that are typically considered advanced without any discussion or hesitation, and knows exactly how to manipulate a man's physiology, she is a technician. You cannot learn these things from reading books. You learn them from men. If her verbal resume says novice, but her physical performance says expert, trust the performance. Her body remembers the count even if her mouth refuses to speak it. By combining these 8 signs, mathematical probability, emotional defensiveness, narrative gaps, social circle analysis, digital footprint, moral rebranding, linguistic vagueness, and physical proficiency, you can construct a clear picture of the truth, bypassing the lies to make an informed decision about your future.